Well, welcome back to part 2 of getting this 2007 Sportster back on the road with a no crank issue and tons of oil leaking issues. So we're going to button it up in this video and I hope you enjoy it. So welcome back to Butler Customs Motorcycle Shop. These bolts will have washers on them. They usually stay on there. They're actually kind of hard to get off if you ever try to get them off. But just check, make sure they're all on there. If not, I would suggest if the fella before you put one back on without a washer, go buy you a new bolt with the washer on it, because you'll lose your mind trying to get a washer on these type of bolts. I think it's going to be in the 90s. All week this week. How's the weather out your way? Hopefully a little more bearable than ours. Ours is just so stuffy. There's no airflow anymore. Humidity is, oh, you don't want to hear me whine. And our last one here, number 1. Now with this primary being over this shaft, you don't have to really worry about the primary falling off. I'm just going to take some oil and oil up this shaft right here. And we've got all of our bolts in here where they should go. They all look about the same length, but I just like to keep them in the holes they came out of. Now we're ready to just slide this and be careful around that shaft. And you can see kind of the size now where you can actually save on that seal. And there is our primary shoe, tensioner shoe. And you want to look at this and inspect this. Now it might look kind of rough on you, but they're pretty thick shoes. And this one looks like it's okay. Looks okay. Now to get this shoe off, you would take this bolt all the way out, and then the shoe actually slides off of this housing right here. So this shoe, I see just a little bit of pitting right there, but remember these shoes are super, super thick. And if you get the tension set right, they usually last a long, long time. Of course, we'll clean up out around here on this cover. Now on this, I had a dowel stay in and I had a dowel come out back here. So take note of that if yours is kind of the same way. We can go ahead and just pull this gasket off, which looks to be the OEM gasket. And now is a good time to inspect things while you're here. So what you'll want to do is just inspect your teeth here on your sprocket. Inspect your teeth back here on your clutch basket, on your starter gear back here, and the starter gear up here. Everything looks really, really well. Nice and clean in here. I don't see a ton of debris building up down here, just clutch material, that's normal. So everything here checks out pretty good. The chain looks nice and tight. If you wiggle it, you know, that's what a chain should do. No excessive slop on my springs for my clutch here. You want to be careful not to pull this out or monkey with this at all. Leave it alone if all you're doing is changing the cover out. Because there is a plate back here, there are springs here, but you can inspect those, make sure they're in the holes good, make sure they're not broken. But this, as far as I know, had no shifting issues at all. So we're not addressing any of that, had no clutch issues at all that they told me about, or any kind of charging issues or anything like that. The charging on this, it has a stator behind this rotor, so a magnetic rotor. The stator doesn't come out like on twin cams or Evos or anything like that, on big twins. The stator wires actually come out back here and comes out that way. So kind of a really different design there. It's kind of neat to see. Now before we put the cover back on, I want to go ahead and get the dowel that's out of this cover and get it back in here, because when I set the primary gasket on, this dowel and this dowel will help to keep it in place where I want it. Now on this model, the dowel pin is slotted, so it's expandable and contractable, so it makes it really easy to get out and to put back in, to where you don't have to, you know, booger it up trying to get it out of the cover to put back on. Since we're replacing that cable, the clutch cable, now's a good time to go ahead and get the clutch cable actually threaded back on to the cover, and it's easier to do with the cover off. So while it's off, let's just go ahead and do it. We can clean up around the thread, get the new cable out, get the new O-ring out, oil it up, put it on there, tighten things down. Okay, so when putting the new cable on, we got the good Barnett cable. Of course, it's stock length because it's got stock bars on it. There's no rerouting of the cable, it's all stock. It'll come with a new boot, and just spray some PB Blast in the boot. It'll slide right over this pretty easy and right on down to where you want it. And the Barnett cables have the cable inside, and they are coated, and then inside this coat as well. So really nice cables. Now when you get it out on the other end that you're going to thread in, they provide you a little cap here. Just pull that off, and there'll be your O-ring. It'll also have a sticker on it that says caution. Do not over tighten. So understand, this bolt here is hollow for the cable to go through. So it does not take a lot of pressure to break this off into the primary cover. So be very careful. And there's the O-ring they've already got on there for you. So I'll just pull it back a little bit and we will just oil that O-ring up. I don't ever like to put O-rings on dry. Give it a good little coating on it. Now you don't have to put blue Loctite or anything like that on this. What I did find when I was cleaning out the hole that my cable goes in, somebody had used RTV in this, and it was clear RTV. So it took me a good minute to clean all that out. So when you're swapping these out, remember somebody might have tried to fix a leak, and RTV will never work where this is going, but you got to clean all that off good. And now with the cover off, I can kind of hold things at an angle a little bit better. Okay, so I found the right angle there, and it is going up in there good. I'll get my 9/16 and thread it up good and tight. All right, so with that started, if I feel any kind of bind or anything like that, then I'm going in wrong. You need to stop, take it out. Hopefully you didn't booger the threads up on the cover. Now where this O-ring sets, there's a little divot in this cover. So it sets up in there good and flush. There's really no way for it to kind of get out of alignment, and it should make a really good seal. So everything went up in there nice and smooth. As you can see, I'm not using much tension at all. Now when I get it up on here, I'm just going to kind of hold and snug. That's all I want. I don't want any more than that. Now remember, what was leaking on us was back here. But if you look at this Barnett cable, they've got silicone or some kind of goop in there when they clamp this together. That's important. That'll keep and prevent a leak from coming out there. Oil around this O-ring. Also inspect your bushing in here. Make sure it looks good and nice. It does. And now we're actually ready to slide this back on. The Barnett also comes with cable lube you can put on at the top of your cable, and also a new little cable pin for your lever. Now sometimes these work, sometimes they don't. Sometimes the pin's a little not like factory. It's okay to use the other one if it's in good shape, but they do give you one in case you need it. Now I'll clean off one more time around everything, although I've already done it, and this really, I didn't have to scrape or blade or anything on that. Now we'll take our new James gasket, double beaded gasket, which I love. Slide on there just like that, and that'll hold everything up where we want it. Of course, I cleaned out the holes. Now you might be saying, hey, when you pulled some of these bolts out up here, why were they rusty and white and stuff? Well, that's because the bolt holes on this model goes all the way through the case. So I can actually see my finger back there through the bolt hole. And if you pressure wash the bike, water gets in there and runs up in them threads, and they can rust. So again, I don't know how many times I have to say this. Never pressure wash your bike. It's bad. It's so bad on it. We're ready now to set the primary back on. We got our tensioner all the way down. We've got our cable on. I did oil up the O-ring that goes over this shaft right here, and I oiled up the shaft as well. Now I'm going to hold my cable up where it's going to kind of be routed up at the top of the bike. I want to take my hand back here like this, my fingers, and I'm going to push up on that primary chain so that it will clear over the primary tensioner. And get that bushing started. Then I'll move my fingers and everything should go on. You should get a good thumping seal there. And since they're in this little cardboard template, I can go ahead and glue them all because the threads are sticking out at one time. Really helps to save on the old crazy expensive Loctite. I'm going to go one right there, and I'm just going to throw these in back where they go, get them started, gun them down just till they're about to touch, and then we'll start torquing. Now, to set the primary chain tension, we are going to have to take the inspection cover off, and then we're going to have to tighten the primary chain tensioner, see what our tension is. And always a good idea, even though it is a good James gasket, just feel up under there, make sure the gasket didn't fall out, and when you go to put a bolt in, you might accidentally put the bolt over the hole and not actually get the bolt in the gasket hole. You usually don't have issues with the James gaskets, but you could, so just, pay attention. All right, now I'm not going to throw this away yet because this shows me my torque sequence. So I'm going to lay this down here. I'm going to get my torque wrench out and get it loaded and ready. And I got me a little cheat sheet here from the manual. It's torque from 100 to 120 inch-pounds. So I'm going to go with 105. I like to go a little on the lower end, and it is inch-pounds. Make sure you're set on inch-pounds. And then we'll start with number 1 right here. And 105 inch-pounds is not that much pressure, so be careful. If you're tightening these by hand, you can over-tighten them and warp that cover, or worse, break something. 2, and then 3, then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Then we're going to go with 11 up here, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. Now I will go back around here just to test on them, but this has always been very, very accurate for me. But I'll zip around here to test on them and be right back with you. Okay, now that everything's checked, I'll go back and clean once I get everything back together. But now we can go ahead and take our little thread tape off here, make sure this is nice and dry. You'll find that your shaft kind of can slide in and out, and that's okay, that's how it's designed to do. Now we can take our little rubber booty, slide back over here. That keeps our shaft kind of positioned where it should be. This is not to let any kind of oil, keep any oil in or out. It's just kind of like a rubber spacer. And now I can get my clutch cable, run up here where it should be. And I'll take the new plunger there. I'm going to make sure. Yeah, see, this is what I was saying. Okay, and this housing, this will fit one way, but then it gets really tight going the other way. If you turn this around, it actually will not even fit in the hole. I don't like anything to be binding, so I will reuse that because I like the way that slides. So I usually don't use the ones that come in there, and that's the exact reason why. Make sure on the cable that the adjustment on the cable is all the way in, meaning you have as much slop in the cable as you can, because you're going to need all this out here so that you can get things hooked back up. So we'll take our little hook, we'll slide on there, hold that out, and then we'll take our roller balls. Now you can take this clip off and look up in there and look and inspect the balls, or you can just do this and move them and see how they operate. And if they're falling back down good, raising up good, they're good. You don't have to worry about greasing them on oil or oiling them because it gets that from when the primary is running. So now what we have to do is kind of hook this dude while holding this together back on here. It only hooks on one way like that, and then this will spin up like this, that prevents this from falling out. And then we can line it up with our little slot up here and slide it right back over just like that. This collared nut, which goes on this way, remember, and we can actually take our flathead screwdriver, and I like to use a very narrow one. We can actually slide that on there, hold this, and slide that on just like that. Get it started. Run this clockwise with your finger. Okay. And then you'll actually hold this and turn this counterclockwise. You bring this counterclockwise, you'll see that nut go on back up in there. You can turn it counterclockwise until it lightly seats. Okay, right there. That's where I want it to seat. Now, once you get it seated, you will back it off, so you'll go clockwise 1/4 of a turn. So not even 1/2 of a turn, 1/4 of a turn right there. Now that's where I want that to set. Now when you put this spring on there, it might not align and you might have to adjust because this right here is slotted, and it's slotted to hold this into place. So as this goes over your adjuster here, and then these sides go over this clutch mechanism, it holds everything in place. So this will only go on one way, and see I already kind of boogered it up. So let's go till it touches. Let's go 1/4 back. Then I want to slide this through here. I don't want this to move on. If this won't go on and you've got it lined up where it goes over the thread, it says to turn it clockwise until that fits up in there, and that's it. Not counterclockwise. Now, that should stay on there just like that. You want to make sure you cleaned out all around here. Now, what we can go ahead and do is put our O-ring gasket back on. Okay, so the old O-ring, it does have some bits and pieces missing off of it. I'm going to discard that. And I did have one in stock. It's just a stock one. You will see that on the actual cover, there's a little divot right here that sets in. So this cover, oh, good grief. This cover will only go on one way for you. Okay, I didn't get a chance to show you that, but because once I got the gasket on there, it was stayed, and I had to go hurry and put this cover on before it fell off. But you'll get up and put your peepers back behind here. Make sure the spring that's in there on the clutch assembly lines up in this little hole that's on this cover, and then make sure your gasket's still up on there, and then push it on there, and it is. So we are good. And I just got two in here, and as you tighten it, you'll kind of see that gasket smashing down. The gasket itself, here I can show you on the old one, it's got little ridges on it on the outside, but they put them on both sides. And so it's really hard to get it to set on there. I used some good dirt coat and put it around one side of it and stuck it on there. Held great. So I had to get the cover on quick before it fell off. I've got these blued up, of course, and we'll get these on and we'll torque these down. Now remember, these are a different torque than your primary covers, and we'll just go crisscross on these. Okay, and so the derby cover bolt torques are 84 to 108 inch-pounds. So I'm going to go down to 90 inch-pounds. I think that'll be plenty good for us. So I'll start down here. That's it. Probably when you hand tightened them, you probably got pretty close. So these are not torqued as much as the primary cover. There we go. Kind of get it started. So right there, I believe, is where it was. And so I'll kind of wiggle, 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 and then it should go on through. Check my holes. We're good. Now I will throw this bolt in here just so that it doesn't slide out on me. And then I'll work on these forward controls. All right, I got some red on that here. We'll make sure to get that bracket on. There we go. Looks good and tight and red lock tight to me. Now on this right here, this 1/4 inch, I am going to just ratchet it down just to where it's seated. And there's an actual torque to it so that we don't over tighten it. And it is 16 to 20 foot-pounds. We're at 17 on my 1/4 inch on foot-pounds. Okay, and that was 17 exactly. And so don't ever try to tighten these to where they, are so tight you're trying to touch these two pieces together. So that is torque, that is on there. You don't have to worry about thread locking this because remember, it's under tension by squeezing. And so that kind of acts as a lock washer, so to speak. So all we got left to do is just adjust our clutch cable and then pull the inspection plate off and tighten up this primary and get our drain plug in. Now on tightening up the clutch cable, you're going to need a nickel. And what you do is you pull back on the actual cable from the clutch housing and you see what that gap is. You want it to be about the gap of a nickel. Now on some Sportsters like this one, the clutch housing is hard to get a nickel into, but you can look and see the thickness that you want by that nickel. So now we're just going to extend this cable out about right there, and then we'll pull on the clutch. Okay, that's a little too tight, so we'll go back in a little bit. Pull on that clutch, that's about right there. I will squeeze the clutch in a couple times and then recheck. Now since I did that, I'm going to go out about a half a turn. Yes, I like it. Now we'll just lock this lock nut down, and I want to keep this adjuster still, but tighten the lock nut down on it. It doesn't take a lot of pressure. All right, now that that's set, we can run our boot down over it. Make sure the boot's seated nice and good. Snap that in there, and it had another one down here. Very good. Throw my drain plug in. I got a new O-ring there with it greased up. I got some thread lock on it as well. Let's get that run back up in there. We'll run it down with a 5/8 and then we will torque it. The torque spec on the drain plug is 14 to 30 foot-pounds. That's quite a big difference. So we're probably going to go to 20 foot-pounds. I'm going to try to guess. What 20 foot-pounds is. Maybe that. See how close I got. All right, I already got this set to 20. Huh. Man, right on it. All right, we'll go ahead and get this inspection cover off here. And there will be some little O-rings up in there. If they're damaged or marred up, you can of course replace those. And this one is missing, so I'll put one on that. And now you got this little, it's kind of like a rubber gasket, and you can reuse these, gosh, unless they just like break on you or something. But they're not a metal, they're not a plastic, they're rubber, so they're real durable. Now with that off, you have access here to your chain, and of course we have no tension on this chain at all, so we'll tighten it up. Now free play, let's talk about that. According to the manual on free play, if it's a cold motor, so it hasn't ran, it's not hot, the free play in inches is 3/8 to a 1/2 inch. Now if you're on the side of the road and you have some issues and you need to tighten your primary chain, so if it's a hot motor, then your tension free play is a 1/4 inch to 3/8 inch, so it's less. So the way we check the free play or set the free play on this is to go ahead and get our 1/4 inch on here and tighten the primary shoe up. Now, because I want to set this, I actually want to take this nut and hold it while I'm tightening this up, because I don't want the nut to go up to the top just yet. Now, there's really no way, as far as I know, to measure the tightness. You're going to have to just kind of go by feel. So what I've got, this right here is a 1/2 inch from this ledge to the top. And it just happens to be on my finger, the width of my finger. So the thickness of my finger is a 1/2 inch. So I can look up in there and kind of go the thickness of my finger. And I like that right there. But that's not all we're got to do. That's just one place in this primary system. So now what we've got to do is move this center stand to the back, lift the rear wheel up, put the bike in the highest gear, and actually rotate the wheel to get this chain to move before we want it. You might have to pull the plugs out. Usually I don't. It would help you, but I want to make sure that I get this free play set at the tightest point of this chain, because as this chain rotates, there'll be loose spots, there'll be tight spots. If I was to set this right here and it happened to be in a loose spot, then when the chain goes around and gets tight, it's going to be too tight. And it's going to either stretch the chain or pull the compensator and the clutch together and blow seals out. So I don't want that. All right, so I did go ahead and pull the plugs out because we're going to be changing plugs anyway, and it does make it a little bit easier to rotate. It felt like that was on my tight spot. Still feels good. Okay, there's a tight spot right there, but I've still got a little bit less than ½ inch, and that's really what I want on a cold motor. You would think that the chain would be the same tightness all the way around it, but it's actually not. When you do this, you can feel the tight spot and the low spot, or the loose spot. There's my tight spot right there. All right, so that is set. Now, before I put the cover back on, we got to put oil in it. All right, now that we got this chain set exactly where we want it, we don't want this adjuster to move. What we want to do is tighten up this lock nut all the way to the top without moving our adjuster. Then all that's left is to fill this with 32 fluid ounces. That's what the manual calls for. And then we can put our inspection cover back on with its gasket, O-rings. All right, so we're just going to get that good and snug there. That's just a lock nut. And I want to recheck, make sure we're not too loose there. That's good. We'll get our 32 fluid ounces in of 2050, and I use straight 2050. So here's 28. And then we'll put 4 more in. Now we can put our little cover back on, our gasket. I did blue these. They have good O-rings on them now. And we can tighten these up. Now I'm not sure if the manual has a torque spec for these. They are 5/32 Allens, so they're easy to strip out. So I'll usually just kind of, get them snug. And usually that's going to be about, anywhere from 80 to 90 inch-pounds anyway. All right, so our primary and clutch and all the leaking is now done. So there should be no more leaks on this side of the bike. I want to go ahead and change this oil filter out. Since I've got my center stand back here, I can put a drain under here and catch most of that. And then we can move the center stand back over here. And I want to, well, before that, I want to get it back in neutral. Then when I move this back over here, we can drop the oil so we can start working on the other side of all the broken oil line, leaking oil line, and our breather. But let's go ahead and get this filter off, and while we're here, I'm going to go ahead and get our plugs in, get those gapped to what came out as well. This was the front and the rear. They look good, but I do want to make sure they're gapped because we do have a tuner on it, so it might have a bigger gap than stock. Our front plug was gapped at 42. Our rear plug is gapped at 42. So I'm going to go right back with the 42. I got the Champions. All right, we'll get these crush washers crushed down. I think they're 17s, best I can remember. Yes. All right, we'll get us a little pan under here. Good night. Who put this on? Good grief. Way too tight. Way too tight. I'm surprised it hasn't broken this nut off. Oh, wow. Okay. According to the manual, the way you put these on, you screw them in till the gasket touches, and you hand tighten another 3/4 turn. That's it. That's really it. Whew. All right, we'll clean our surface up. I got us a good Wix 57-148. I'll get some oil here. Go around our ring. We'll thread this on. All right, so we just want to thread it on till it touches. Now you're gonna grab you a rag. You want to go 3/4 of a turn. So there's a half. There's a 3/4 right there. Good and snug. That's all you got to do. You do not have to wrench and ratchet these things on. Now we can move our center stand over here and we can go ahead and drop our engine oil. Now our engine oil is going to be on a tube that runs down from the tank. It's going to have a plug in it and it's going to have a little worm clamp on it. And I like to unscrew it enough where I can take it all the way off. That way it doesn't fall into my oil. I can clean it up. pull this over here, and then all you got to do is just pull the little plug out, and then it'll drain out. But what we're going to do is go to the other side of the bike and open up the oil fill cap where you check the level at, and then it'll drain a little bit quicker. The oil line that we're working on is this one right here. It starts right here, so it's easy to access. We can get to this right here, snip this clip off and put a worm clamp on it, and it runs under here and runs right back here. So I'm hoping we can take this access cover off and get back there to where we need. That's what I'm hoping, without having to take the cam plate off, which is the front fork. This foot peg comes off. All the exhaust would probably need to come off. I don't want to do all that. So can a guy just get this off and be able to get in there to get this hose replaced? That's what I'm hoping. There's a bracket here that holds this rear exhaust on, and so it's easier just to take the bracket off of this and then take this bolt and this bolt out, and the cover kind of comes off. All this cover is really just a cover for your belt. So a 9/16 here. Okay, so there's a bolt, a lag bolt, and there is a washer and a nut, and that holds this clamp, and then you can actually move this clamp up or down on the exhaust to kind of get it out of your way. And I'm hoping I got enough room underneath here. I do, to go ahead and back this out. All right, so snake that out, and that'll go back in there. Now one here and one there, and it is a 3/16, of course. We'll get this one broke free. All right, it's a big old long one. And then this one down here, you're not going to be able, if you want to leave this front exhaust on, to get down in there good enough to grab. You could strip it out. So you're going to have to get you something like a cut-off 3/16 tool. Just make sure you get it seated down in there really, really good. And I'll take my little cheater bar to slide over my tool, and then use that to break that free. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep working on this to get this off. Then I'm going to go play in the rain while it's raining. I'll be right back. Snake it out. It is shorter than the top one, so keep that in mind. Now, can I get you out? Yes. Does that help me at all? I don't think so. I believe about the only way I can access this is by taking off the exhaust and then taking off the mount for the exhaust. It is right under here. Now, I've got my finger on the clamp, but these clamps, you know, you can't get a screwdriver up in there to unscrew. They're those clamps that you squeeze together. Can't even get it. I could get a Dremel up in there, but I'd be afraid to hit anything else. Then I could pry the hose off. Have to take it off right here, off the starter, and off this clamp, and then I could get that on. But I'm wondering, as I'm looking at this hose, if it's the actual hose leaking or the clamp not being tight enough. Changing it out would be best. But this is all going to have to come off. We're going to have to get exhaust gaskets. Oh my goodness. Okay, the top exhaust gasket on the rear is the bolt, the nut's missing. Wow. So we're going to have to fix that anyway, so we're going to have to take this cover off. And it's double nutted on the back. They put a double nut on the one side and no nut on the other side. That's an exhaust leak if I ever seen one. And looking up in there, yep, it's been leaking. Wow. Okay, so change of plans. This exhaust is coming off. Then we can take our bracket off and we can get up in there and actually replace this hose. The hose might be good, but it's pretty stiff and hard. I got a OEM hose that's curved for what we need, and it's nice and soft. So since we bought the part, I am going to replace this, but we're going to take this exhaust off, fix this, and I want to check the front as well. Put some new exhaust gaskets in, and then we should be in business. Well, a storm did roll in, and it knocked our power out, but I ain't complaining because it's a whole lot nicer now. A whole lot cooler. Get the front one off. I smell cow manure on this bike. It's been ridden. I can't see nothing. Now, I'm not sure if you can see up in here or not, but there's no nut on this, and this side's double nutted. I don't know why, but it is. There's the nut supposed to go on the other side. Of all my years working on bikes, I have never seen that. Double nutted on one side and nothing on the other side. Oh my. And this exhaust clamp back here is super loose too. So she had a bad exhaust leak. I have never. Huh. So these exhaust clamps were tight, but the exhaust wasn't tight at all. Now there are oxygen sensors on here, so I'm going to leave this front hooked up and just set it to the side like this, because all I need is this one right here off. Now on the rear, probably not going to be able to do that. Although it is loose, I'm going to have to take this whole muffler thing off. Okay, and that can come off there. That might be all we have to do there, because all I want to get off is this big thing right here, and it looks like it's just held on with these two bolts here. Unless there's another, no, there's not another one back here. Okay, so just here and here, and now this daggum brake lever is going to be in my way. All right, I got a T30, no, that's a T27. Then I can just drop this arm down to get to that bolt. Yes. Okay, now I can just break these two free, and this whole bracket here should come off. And I can keep this on, but slide this off as loose as it is. That's my theory anyway. Maybe the power will come back on here in a little bit. We usually have really good electrical service around here. One more up here, right there. There's 3 bolts on this bracket. Yes, okay, you stay there. Ooh, hang on. All right, now I got all that off there. So there's 1, 2, 3 bolts there that hold that on, and the rear muffler comes off with that. Set that somewhere safe. Okay, now we should have more room up under here. Oh, perfect. Yeah, I see it, and it's actually leaking down here at the bottom of this too. Okay, so we can reach this very, very easy here. And even if I can't get my snips in there to cut that clamp off, I can Dremel it out right there. It's like right in my teeth. Very good. Oh gosh, the power went out. The chickens don't know what to do with no power. Modern chickens. All right, now can I cut you with these snips? There we go. She come undone on the sand. Very good. Now I don't have to worry about damaging the hose because we're replacing the hose. But now that's off. Now I should be able to take my flathead, get between the hose and the fitting. There we go. It's in pretty rough shape. And now I've got a little nut right here that holds this bracket on. I'm gonna go ahead and take it off, and then we can take this clip off up here, and our hose should be done. Looks like maybe a 3/8 nut on the back of that starter. Yes. The battery's out. We don't have to worry about anything sparking on this. That wasn't even tight. But I don't want to drop that. Now this clamp can come free. Now I just got to work on this one up here. There we go. Over there. All right, there's our old hose, and it is hard as a rock. Yeah, I don't think clamping it would have worked. It's just dry rotted inside. All right, we'll get our new hose out and make sure it kind of matches up. It's an OEM hose, so it should. If you're ever needing that one, there's the part number there. Hopefully you can see that. It is a genuine Harley number. And what we're looking for is this little bend right here. That's very good. Comes up there and goes right in there. Very good. All right, that's our hose we need. Now what we've got to do Snake this in there to bend the way we want it to bend, probably I think like that, and it goes up, and I get a worm clamp on that. Are you kidding me? I didn't even have you plugged up. All right. I'm sorry, I don't know what you caught, what you didn't catch. I hadn't went back and looked at the footage. Oh gosh. All right, we got the hose on. We got this back on. The hose was easy. Once we took this off, the bracket that holds this muffler on, again, I don't know what you saw and what you didn't see. And then you could access, once this bracket's off, 3 bolts behind this plate holds this bracket for this muffler on. So I wound up taking this off. I just let these headers kind of hang so I can move them out of the way because they have O2 sensors in them. Easy to unplug, but there's no sense in it. I just let them hang. Got this main bracket off here. Then I could access underneath where this line right here runs down and it's curved into this. Well, this is the old one, what it looks like. You might have saw this, I don't know. If you did, I'll cut this out. So this goes here, this snakes down there and comes out in the bottom of the oil pump, which is underneath this right here, so you don't have to take this off. Then just snip those brackets off, those little Harley clips off, put some worm clips back on an OEM part of this. And getting the new part out, this is hard as a rock. Dry rotted, cracked on both ends, so it was leaking from both ends. So I'm glad we replaced that. Got it all back together. This exhaust now is super tight, as it should be, seated up in there, and nuts are back on both sides now, as they should be. So that is done, and now we can move on to the air breather. So we got to replace these gaskets here. I got a kit right here that is for the big sucker, the Arlen Ness. And it comes with new gaskets, the new O-rings that are blown out, washers as well for it. So these 3 here are 1/2 inch. We'll take this off, because since we got a kit with the new gaskets, we're going to swap the gaskets out. And we got to clean this throttle body out. It is a mess. The power was out, storm came in, it was steamy hot in here. I don't know what you saw, what you didn't see, but boy, we had a fit. Now I think these are 1/4 inch. Yes, okay. All right, there's our breather bolt there. And then this one right here will hold the plate so it doesn't fall on us. We'll pull the plate out as we're taking the bolt off, and then all that'll come off together. All right, so there's the O-rings there that get blown out. This one stayed on, and as you can see, it had blown out as well. So you got one here, and then you have one on each side as well that was both leaking. So the kit comes with new ones we'll be putting in, and it comes with a new gasket for this as well. So we'll clean everything up. Or some of the older fuel injected, they have a port here that you can actually spray in to kind of clean out. This one does not. So what I want to do while the butterfly is closed is just spray right here, get all this goop and stuff off. And it's so bad in there, I might open the butterfly and just spray a little back in there. Now you don't want to spray a lot, because that's going to go right into your pistons, right into your cylinders. And one of the very first signs of your bike being too full of oil is it will excessively breathe oil right back into your throttle body. And I would say that's exactly what the issue was with this. I'll crack the throttle, get up in there nice and good, get the back side of that butterfly best I can. Oh, it looks a lot better. Okay, I don't think I'm going to spray back in there. It's not really going to do much good. I really can't get nothing back in there to clean anyway. Could you run like a long brush or something back in there to clean? You probably could, but it's just going to go down into your cylinders anyway. You know, it'd be best just to fix it so that it doesn't leak anymore, and then let the carbon just, let the oil just burn off. Clean these up as well, clean the threads up real good. I want a nice clean seat for those new O-rings to set on. Now in our kit, we've got the new O-rings. We'll put in a breather. We've got 2 different gaskets and a metal gasket. The way this works on this bike is you take the metal gasket and you sandwich it in between the other 2 gaskets. So you make like a triple gasket. Same thing to come off. Our gasket surface is clean. While we got it off, we'll clean all down in there so we can see if we actually fix the problem. Spray off in those holes where those O-rings set. There we go. It's nice and clean now. All the debris is out of it. We'll take our O-ring packet, pull all these up here, and we'll start sticking them in. They should kind of seat in there pretty good, but kind of keep your finger on there when you flip this over to do the back too. When you go to seat these on there, they could fall off on you if you're not careful. So what I like to do is to take the breather bolts, blow through the end to make sure there's no debris in there. It'll come with some washers as well, and then the breather bolt's going to go on that washer. I'll go ahead and clean this other one up too. Okay, then the washers are going to go through both. Make sure that O-ring's still on there. So I'm going to go ahead and put my bolts in like this. Keep an eye on these O-rings. I'm going to get my new gasket set. Keep an eye on my O-rings. I'm going to put one of these through here and capture the gasket, the metal spacer, and the gasket, and another one, just so I know I'm lined up in my holes. Now I'm going to get these up here and get one started and the other one started. I've already blued them, so they're good to go. Now I can carefully start these breather bolts in, and I can inspect back there, make sure my O-ring has not fallen out, because I believe that's probably what happened on this one. The O-ring fell out. They didn't notice it. They didn't turn it a little at a time on both sides, and probably had always been leaking. There we go. There we go. Just a little at a time on both sides till they bottom down. Now I'll go ahead and run this last one in. That's blue Loctited as well. And I can go ahead and tighten these down on my throttle body. Now please don't go crazy with these. I've seen throttle bodies crack before because you over tighten these. So don't do that. Just a little snug, snug, snug. Now I can take my breather bolts, and again, these breather bolts are hollow. So you just want to go down till you know you get a good seal on those O-rings. Very good. Now we're ready for our new breather. Sorry I lost some audio in this. Having a rough time videoing, filming, and audioing in this video. But I'm just putting the the new air filter back on. Could you clean the old one? You probably could. But understand, there's a lot of little micro fibers, and that filter catches things you can't see with your eye. A new one is really best for the best airflow that you can get. I'm putting the T27s in here, although this kit doesn't have the standard T27 screws. It's actually got, I think, 5/32 Allen heads. I'm just going to grab this cover here and put it on, and it's just got I think a 1/4 inch, no, 3/16 screw on that, and tighten it down. It does have a plastic washer behind it that kind of stops the screw from, or the bolt from going in too far and smashing everything. I moved the camera over here to the front to do this headlight and realized I forgot to turn my mic on. Good grief. You ever have one of those days? I either forget to turn the camera on, or I forget to turn, or I do turn the camera on, then I forget to turn the sound on. Alright, so you should come out. So why are you not coming out? You've been in there a minute, hadn't you? There we go. She's just been in there a minute. Get that ring out, drop this down, and we'll pull our plug out right there. All right, it's good and tight around both sides. The light's in there, not moving. Oh yeah. Good, very, very good. We'll do a microfiber so we don't scratch it. Get my mitts off of it. Cleanest part on the front of this bike. Yes. Okay, so before we fill the oil back up, we're going to put the plug back in, but I'm not going to clamp it down. Now the reason for that is once I drop 2 quarts into the tank, then we're actually going to pull this plug and let the air come out of this so that it doesn't airlock. And that's by the manual. It says to do that. So I'm going to dump 2 quarts in, come over here, pull the plug, let the air out till the oil comes out, then we should be good. All right, 2 quarts is in. Now you might be saying, hey man, bike holds more than 2 quarts. Yeah, but you got to understand there's still oil in the crankcase. So the manual tells you to put 2 quarts in, start it up, run it, put it on the Jiffy stand, then check it hot. But we got to purge it with the air here. So I'm going to pull this. It's probably going to make a mess. That's okay. And there's the oil coming out. Now we'll stick it back in there. So I don't know if you could see that or not, but it took a good 3 seconds to get the air out and then the oil down in here. So that helps for it not to airlock in your oil pump. A lot of people don't know to do that, but you got to do that. All right, now I'll just put this worm clamp back on to our plug here, and then we'll put our battery in. My camera's getting wonky. I hope you saw what I just did. Putting the battery in, putting the cover on. I showed you kind of a simple way to do it. I don't know what's going on. So on this panel, I rerouted the wires where it would go up behind here and no longer be rubbing against this metal edge. Because if you remember, we had one wire almost sawed in 2, but it wasn't down to the bare metal. So we were able to save on it. But I tucked everything up so there's no wires running here now. Now it was missing one of those clips that holds this in, and I put one there. Also the battery tray holder, the little metal arm thing, was missing a screw, so I put one in there as well. Putting the battery in, people say it's hard, but it really isn't that hard. Here's what'll help you. When you go to buy a new battery to put in here, or if you're just going to upgrade your battery or your old battery's dead, get the batteries with the terminals on top that have the threaded holes already in it. Don't get the ones with the little rectangle nut that slides in, because you'll lose your mind trying to get that situated. And here's the problem with the Sportsters. On the negative cable, they just don't give you enough room. If they'd have made that negative cable about 3 inches longer, you could have brought it out here, put the negative on, and then ran it up in there. But they don't. But if you'll get a battery that's already got the threaded holes in it, then you can kind of set the battery up there, get the negative cable in, slide it up in there, and then put your positive on and then slide it the rest of the way in. Not an issue if you get the batteries that's already got the threaded terminals on the top. So just a little tip for you. And I showed it all in the video and I lost the footage, so my apologies for that. And I got the trickle charger ran out here, so it's tucked up in there nice and good. So it's back a little bit better than it was before. We can go ahead and put the seat on now and fire it up. And then it's been raining and it's late, so I'll probably wait and take it out in the morning. You can come along. Let's start her up, see what we got. Okay, neutral, run position, check light, engine light is off. With all my sweat and elbow grease coming off the pipes. All right, so I want to clean up. I'll be back with you in the morning. We'll get it off the lift. We'll take it for a ride, see how everything does. The low fuel light was on. But it might be because it's low in fuel. I don't know how much the fuel's in it or how old the fuel is. It's got some in it. I can hear it slosh around. But let's go eat a bacon sandwich. I'll see you in the morning. I am soaking wet. Been hot. But I have my fan. Well, there we go. She shifted great, she clutched great, all the gears, easy to find neutral on these. She ran great. I would probably run some non-ethanol or 93 and put a little seafoam in the tank. I don't know how old that gas is, but it ran fine. Pipe sounded a whole lot better than when I first started it up in that first video. So I'm sitting here editing and just wanted to throw something in here real quick. The oil leaks are stopped. It seems like the top end is just kind of seeping, so not really enough, I guess, to leak, but I didn't ride it that much. But the oil leaks are fixed on that primary side and the clutch cable and all that. Also, the 2 quarts of oil that we put in after we drained the oil tank was enough. I come back on the ride, I check the oil on the Jiffy stand. It's right in the middle of where it should be when the motor's hot. So I suppose that the bike was overfilled with oil, and that explains it coming out the breather and all that. And the breather side is nice and dry and clean now, so it should run a whole lot better now. So thank you guys so much for helping me out in the shop, and I just can't brag on y'all enough. Y'all been so supportive of my channel and what I do here in the shop, and it really gives me motivation to keep making videos like this. So maybe this helped you out, or if not, maybe you learned something along the way like I did. So thank you folks so much, and tell your mama and them I said hi.